Some of my favourite memories while travelling this great southern land was sitting by the fire under the stars and enjoying the quiet nothingness of it all. I would often stare into the flames, either deep in thought or completely zoned out, and no matter what, I always felt at peace. When I saw Chilling by the Fire by Oink Games on last night's Nintendo Direct, I was rather intrigued. How can you make a video game about sitting around a campfire? And how can that be fun from a gaming standpoint? Well, curiosity got the better of me, so I decided to buy Chilling by the Fire and find out. What's it like? Chop up some wood, bring some matches, and don't forget the marshmallows as we review Chillin' by the Fire on Nintendo Switch 2. Chilling by the Fire simply tasks you with building a fire. You have a selection of areas like a beach which is dry and warm, a glade which has some rains, and even a snowy landscape that makes building a fire rather difficult. Players will collect logs, chop them into various sizes, and stack the fire pit to hopefully create a level 10 fire. There's no real pressure in the default gameplay mode, as logs will randomly spawn, allowing you to build a fire at your own pace. There's no penalty should your fire fizzle, and you can simply restart it, adding an almost cozy vibe. Each level gives you a set of objectives and achievements that you can work towards unlocking, which then reward you with points to unlock more cosmetic options. Players looking for a challenge though can play survival mode, which is unlocked after completing a level, and in this mode players have a single log in which they have to make a level 3 fire last up to 30 minutes. Now survival mode felt like a completely different game, and it had me constantly checking the temp and moisture levels of the wood, and I was always moving and positioning kindling and carefully blowing on the flames to keep that flame alive. It was both challenging and fun, and I found it really hard to put down. So, as I sat by the dwindling fire pondering how one would go about reviewing this sort of game, and I restarted my game and I started chopping and stacking the kindling atop the fire starter, meticulously placing pieces of wood over that fire starter to ensure maximum exposure to the heat, and then I started planning out which logs I would chop up and I stacked them downwind of the fire to both dry them out and warm them up, and it suddenly hit me. Chilling by the Fire is both a social experiment and a clever puzzle game, but you probably just don't realise you're being challenged while playing it. Much like a real campfire, it'll ultimately enchant some players, while leaving others looking for something to do. The biggest potential for Chilling by the Fire, unfortunately, is the one thing that I wasn't able to test out, and that's grouping up with friends via game share or game chat to build your own fires and use the conversation starters to learn a little bit more about your friends. There's a lot of potential here, and I could see myself catching up with mates while building fires and just talking about nothing and everything. And in that sense, Chilling by the Fire is unique, offering both a game and a simple social space to hang out. You can even get graded on how well you toast your marshmallows. Now graphically, the game features a very low poly art style, offering a simpler environment for players to occupy. The fire mechanics and physics work well, with wind playing a big part in both visuals and strategy for building your fire. It's nothing spectacular, but it works. There are plenty of cosmetic upgrades that you can spend your achievement points on too, allowing players to have different camp chairs, tools, and even tents. The game is backed by a chilled out lo-fi soundtrack that blends into the background, and the relaxing cackle of the fire works well. For my campers looking into accessibility, there's no specific options to speak of. As always, I recommend further research to see if Chilling by the Fire suits your needs. I was initially put off by the $22 Australian price tag, thinking that there wouldn't be much of a game here. But roughly 6 hours later, I'm still not done, especially with some of the survival challenges, and I'm missing a few achievements on the later levels. So there's still plenty of fire left for me to flame. While performance is rock solid though, there are a few issues that got smoke in my eyes. Mainly, for some reason there's a jump button, which is completely unnecessary, But there's not a crouch button, which would have helped a bit better with positioning, especially when blowing on the fire. And there's also a few questionable physics when stacking logs, as well as the pace that I found when looking and moving about, despite being set to max, is still rather slow. And I know the game's meant to be set at a relaxed pace, but sometimes it feels almost too relaxed. I purchased Chilling by the Fire initially due to the odd Nintendo Direct trailer, and it really didn't do this game justice. But when I watched it, I thought, surely this can't be a game, right? I was expecting somewhat of a tech demo, or perhaps a quirky title that didn't really have much beneath the surface. Instead, I got a relaxing and clever puzzle game that asked me questions about myself while I tended to the fire. And it somehow managed to give me moments of quiet reflection, making me ponder those questions it asked me. And it also took me back to those nights under the stars of the outback, enjoying my calming solitude. Chilling by the Fire is certainly not for everyone, and the entertainment value may enchant some players, while others may find the flame blow out rather early on into the experience. For me, I found Chilling by the Fire to be a nice palate cleanser in between labyrinths, parties, and hunting. Chilling by the Fire is a rather unique concept, and a quiet escape that I think many will enjoy. So, what's it like? Chilling by the Fire is like chilling by a fire. I award it a 74 out of 100. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out whatsItlike.com.au.